Live from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Jared and Jabo and Iowa Everywhere. Jared Stansbury. Jordan Bohannon. Together on Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
Yo, welcome to the podcast. It's April 19th. What's up, Jordan? You're in California. How's California?
Sunny, beautiful. You know, I was never a fan of California. My dad's actually from California. For those Iowa State fans that don't know that, he's from South Pasadena. Hardly ever see his family out here, but I'm here with my girlfriend. It's crazy that her family's from this area too. It's wild how life goes full circle, Jared.
Did you visit California at this time because you know tomorrow's a holiday in the state of California?
What's the holiday?
Today's 4/19. What's tomorrow?
I did not, dude. No. Done it one. I will say this.
I'm just saying a lot of people will be celebrating. I imagine a lot of folks out there out west will enjoy the day.
I've never taken an edible in my life, Jared. I've smoked one time in my life, and I had a terrible experience. It's crazy.
It's okay. Not everybody's up to it, you know.
I just don't have the.
Maybe it was you just had bad vibes. You were just with bad people.
No, I was with great people, phenomenal people. Some would say the best people. It didn't work out for me.
It's okay. It different strokes for different folks, you know. Everybody's different. You don't have to participate with all the folks out in California. It's just as long as you're not the guy who's like, oh, look at these dirty ass people out here smoking weed on the street in California.
Shit.
As long as you're not those people, then I'm not going to knock you.
Those dirty ass people out here on the street smoking weed. That is quite the sentence.
Because you know that's what people will be. There will be people out there that'll say that.
I will say this. I'm in Palm Springs, and Coachella people are just disgusting. They're gross human beings.
Did you see how much people have to pay for food and stuff at Coachella?
Oh, it's not even worth it. And like April's like known to be really windy, so all the dust is like swirling around. I walk outside for 5 minutes. I feel like I have a pound of dust in my lungs.
Where do you stand on just going to festivals in general?
Stand on festivals in general. I'm not a big EDM and like pop concert guy. There's Stagecoach I would love to go to. There's country concerts in general, festivals.
Like would you go to Country Thunder or something like that? River Ruckus?
Would love it. I would love it. I'm going to a Zach Bryan concert in August. I am beyond excited. That's not a festival though, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I've never understood the people who go out into the middle of nowhere and then spend like a week there and just get really dirty and don't take showers and just do a bunch of drugs and drink and hang out in the sun. I've never gotten that one.
There is a little festival going on in Des Moines area for those Des Moines residents in, what was it, August? The Hinterland? It's like
Hinterland, yeah. It's down in New Virginia, I think. You ever been to New Virginia?
Is that by Clive?
That is not by Clive, no. It is in it's south of Des Moines. I don't think Hinterland is in Des Moines. It's south of Des Moines. Yeah, it's like down by like Martinsdale, that area.
You see, I don't know. I was
gonna say I don't imagine that you spent much time in Martinsdale.
I did not travel. I did not make an expedition down to Martindale. Is that what it's called, Martindale?
Yes, Martinsdale's right off of I-35. Yeah.
I did make an expedition down to or over, I guess you could say, what's the lake outside Des Moines by Johnston?
Lake Panorama or
No.
to Saylorville.
Say that one.
Yeah, Saylorville. You went on the bridge?
I went on both the bridges. Really cool experience. Wow.
I'm glad that you were able to get that experience of going over the bridge at Saylorville. I don't think you've lived until you have.
Well, it's unique. Not a lot of lakes. The lake is big.
It is a big lake. It is.
There's no houses around the lake.
I think it's really low right now, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, compared to what it normally is at this time of year, from what I understand. I thought I read that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really cool area. There's a little golf course on the right beside it. You can drive around. It takes forever to get around the lake, but That's why they made the bridges, Jared.
I live right next to a lake, and well, not right next to it, but right near a lake on the south side of Des Moines. And me and my dog were gonna walk around it one day. It was way bigger than what I realized it was. It was like 6 miles to walk all the way around. Yeah, it was a bad
How big
idea.
is that lake?
I mean, it's a good sized lake, you know. Yeah, good sized lake.
What lake is it?
Easter Lake.
Easter Lake?
Yeah, it's one of the lesser known of the Des Moines lakes.
Is it like people swimming in it, or is it not safe?
No, I don't think you'd want to swim in it.
Okay.
I don't think you'd want to swim in it. People will like paddleboard or things like that, you know. And there's like little beach areas. I guess you maybe could put your feet in. I don't think it's very deep though, because there's only certain kind of boats that they'll allow out there.
Sounds like there might be some brain-eating amoeba in there.
They did actually have to drain it at one point. A lot of the old heads in Des Moines will say to you like, "Oh, is there water back in that lake?" You know, they'll remember when there was no water in it. I guess not old heads. That was like 5 years ago.
How do you drain a lake?
It's because it's man-made. It wasn't there originally.
So you just drain the lake and then refill it?
Yeah, they just refilled it. Yeah. I mean, it had something in it. It had something in it that they needed to get rid of that was ruining the environment, you know, because people will fish on it. Like, we could go out there right now and stand on the bridge and fish off the lake. I don't know what we'd get. Maybe some sunfish or something, but nothing crazy. Some crappie.
Where do they get the water? They just take it from somewhere else?
It's probably poop water.
No way.
I'm just guessing. It probably is.
Like recycled poop water?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what I would assume it is. Isn't that what I would think that's like what all of those man-made lakes are, or just drainage, you know?
They just don't buy a bunch of Dasani water and pour it in there. That would be better use for that water then.
Imagine being the guy who has to swim to the bottom of the lake and pull the plug.
I'm curious of how like the dynamics, like how it all works.
I'm sure that now that we've said this, someone out there is going to explain exactly why they drained the lake, how they drained the lake, and why they refilled it, and what they refilled it with.
I've definitely heard of like lakes being drained because like a invasive species or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like zebra mussels. I heard I think Okoboji has zebra mussels, but they're never going to drain that lake. But I've heard people drain lakes because of zebra mussels.
Yeah, I would imagine there was something in the water that they had to drain it out and start over. All right, now that we've gotten through all of that, our in-depth breakdown of the lakes in Des Moines, we do have news to talk about this week. Fran McCaffrey is mad at the transfer portal, or is not happy about the transfer portal. Iowa State got another transfer, and then we got some other stories from just around the world that we're going to get to as we go along. But we're going to start with Fran. I've got his comments that he made about the transfer portal from David Eichholt. We'll hear those here, and then we'll react.
The thing that I think is really bad is that there are agents actually shopping mid-major players before they go in the portal, convincing them to go in the portal, and that's disgraceful. And that should have been seen by the NCAA. They just screwed this thing up completely. And now they have to try to fix it. They're not going to be able to.
We didn't get to see Amari.
All right. So where should we start here with reacting to this?
Well, like personally, I don't see anything he found that I find wrong in his statement, because I know I've personally had conversations with him privately and know what his thoughts are on pay for play and players getting paid and transfer portal and all this. And he makes it well known. I mean, it's not like he's a private human being. He makes his emotions well known on what they are. You could tell he's frustrated with the tampering that's going on. You see mid-major players. A lot of mid-major players are going to get made money to make money here in their last year, the last couple of years. Completely fine with that. That's how it should be. But I think there's a lot of issues right now with the transfer portal, and there's guys that are being texted by Coach A or called by Coach A, and they're trying to recruit before the recruiting should be done. So, and that's all on the NCAA, like Coach McCaffrey's talking about. There's there's a lot of loopholes. There's hardly any restrictions, some rules, and in large part, obviously, he's blaming the NCAA, and it 110% should be their fault.
Yeah, there's nothing to do. There's no way to put the genie back in the bottle at this point. I I thought it was interesting to hear that before they're going in the portal, these agents are shopping people to that extent, I guess. Like you always know that there's things going on in the back room, you know. But agents doing those kinds of things feels very out in the open compared to what it probably needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, how do I say this? I wouldn't say agents necessarily are the main criminals out of this. I guess you could use the word criminals. I mean, they're not breaking the law.
Criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I get what you're saying.
they're not necessarily breaking the law, but the culprit of what's going on, I think a large part is the coaches, because the coaches are the ones that are making the decisions to, tamper. I think there's way more tampering incidents out there than there is agents shopping around for players. So I think that's the root cause of the whole transfer portal NIL issue right now. Agents is just a slippery slope. I've always said this from the beginning when I was advocating for college athletes and the transfer portal and NIL and pay for play. Agents are going to be the root cause of some players not finding schools, some players not getting the promises that they thought they were given by these agents or coaches, and ultimately will either stop playing basketball or won't go anywhere, or get in trouble for doing something the wrong way. And a lot of agents aren't in the best interest. A lot of agents, I mean, this is everyone knows that a lot of agents are just in it for the money. And I think what you're seeing right now is a huge power hungry grab for this money that these agents want to be a part of. They want a piece of the pie, just like a lot of these people do in the NIL world, because it's a new market. It's a free market, and they're just trying to figure it out. And agents are realizing they can make really good money off some of these deals that are going upwards towards $7 million or seven figures every single offseason now.
I would think that the agents probably see the mid-major guys as easy targets too, because every mid-major guy in the country wants to move up to the Power 5 level. And if you get someone who's like, oh, I'm going to help you move up to that Power 5 level, I can imagine it's really easy to get caught in the snake oil salesman aspect of that, where like they might not be able to really do shit for you, but they're going to try and sell you a bill of goods that might not be very good.
Yeah, and logically, it makes sense. Like Coach McCaffrey is alluding to the agents, shopping around to these players. I think I saw Chris Williams say this today on their clip that, Coach McCaffrey did the same thing, going from Siena to Iowa. He signed an extension. His agent went out and found him a new, job offer, and he ultimately took it at Iowa. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That players should be able to do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They deserve the same fair playing field when these coaches are making so much money as well. There needs to be guardrails like there is for college coaching, the carousel. I don't think it has to be the exact same way, but again, we talked about a couple weeks ago about athletes becoming employees. That's going to solve so much when there's contracts involved with these players. There's collective bargaining rights that these players can go in with, and there's going to be a lot more guardrails with the NCAA, with these universities. So, like I said 2 weeks ago, Jared, we talked about it. I think that's the last step to kind of cover this all to be a little more regulated than what it is.
I think that getting contracts that are pretty like uniform will be one of the big keys. Like a general, I don't know, people call them guardrails, a general template of like, this is what a deal looks like, and everybody can do the same kind of deals, and it's not just like piecemeal together. Now you're seeing things like in Texas, I think even in Arkansas, where they made it illegal for the NCAA to pursue academic institutions for NIL related infractions. Made it illegal. Man, all the things that we have to worry about in this country, and this is what we're fucking worried about, man. Like, it drives me crazy sometimes that this is what it's come to,
Yeah, and what's crazy is as crazy that is that you're what you're saying, it's not crazy because you know a lot of these lawmakers and legislators, they have huge ties to
Yeah. Oh no,
university.
like I get it. Yeah, I get it. It doesn't make me feel any better about it, but I get
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah. So you know these local legislators are going to do everything in their power because one, if you think about it from an economic standpoint, the better players you bring into the universities are going to continue to get insane publicity. There's going to be way more revenue coming into these schools. The economy in these local governments and these local cities are going to continue to grow because these players like Caitlin Clark, think about how much she has generated from the University of Iowa. She's worth way more than what she's getting in NIL, and she's bringing so much money for the city as a whole too. With people coming to watch her, they're going to restaurants before games, going to restaurants after games. They're spending all this money in the city. They're traveling from Des Moines to Iowa City to see her. It's like that for these legislators are not stupid as much as we want to call them, but they are stupid because they're focusing on this. But they realize like the more or less I guess the less laws they can make around these athletes, the better their universities that they hold true to their heart are going to be off.
Right? And it just is it it's just funny because you can tell that the state legislators and local legislators do it specifically for like uh for competitive reasons,
Yeah.
you know, over doing it for real legitimate, like not that that's not legitimate reason, I guess, but it just is it's very much we want our team to be better than yours, so we're going to take as many of the stops out as we possibly can, whether that's, you know, in Florida where they've made it, you know, I think they made one of their laws was one of the first ones, and then they've edited it like 5 or 6 different times since then because people in other states are doing something and they're like, oh, we need to be able to do this as well, you know. And it's just like a constant churn of like always changing our law because it's like someone else is figuring out a way to work around their own law, you know. And I don't know, when does the cycle of that end, you
Right.
know, like
Yeah.
at what point?
And another example is that the NCPA, who I still work part time for, the National College Players Association, Ramogi Huma just worked on a bill that we're helping try to pass in California for pay for play, College Athlete Protection Act, and a lot of it will put some employee status on these athletes in the state of California. So similar to what happened with NIL when California passed the first NIL law. I don't know if you recall that they were the
Mm-hmm.
first state to do it, and everything followed after that because you know those exactly what you're saying. Those legislators, they don't want to be far behind from their colleagues in the office when they're bragging rights on what their university is doing. Like they want to be involved of making it about themselves, right? And making them about themselves is they want their schools to excel at the highest level. And I think if this get passed in California, the College Athlete Protection Act, I mean, we're going to start looking at employee status for a lot of these schools because exactly what you just said about legislators wanting to brag about their teams.
And let's not forget where this is the most important for these people, or where they feel this is most important for these people, and that's on the campaign trail, continuing to get themselves elected. Makes
Yep.
it looks good. Look what I did for college athletics, for college athletes, you know.
Yeah.
And uh sometimes like some of those things might be kind of hollow, but you know, at least they're trying. I can appreciate that at the end of the day. Um, all right, but on the other flip side of the transfer portal, Iowa State did get another transfer this week. Curtis Jones, a guard from Buffalo. Iowa State's roster is now set after adding 3 transfers during this period. 3 guys, double-figure scorers from lower level leagues. Guys average 3 assists a game or more. What I sent you the videos. I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch them, but what did you see from any of this? What do you think of these guys that Iowa State is bringing in?
I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on the last guy's UNLV transfer's last name.
Gilbert,
Gilbert.
Keyshawn
Yeah.
Gilbert, yeah.
The only problem I have is like Curtis Jones. This looks like a perfect TJ recruit, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
he's not. I mean, he's kind of ball dominated, but he can shoot the crap out of the ball. He's able to dribble in the paint. He looks like he's a very smart player. He's not in a rush. He's crafty. I think Curtis might be the most important recruit he got. because it looks like he fits the play style of Iowa State. The only problems with the UNLV transfer is he looks like he's very, very ball dominated compared to Curtis. So that's why I think Curtis is going to be probably he might get a lot more playing time, especially you got to think about who's already on the Iowa State roster, right? You got Lipsy. Lipsy should have the ball all the time. Like we talked about it already after the season. When you have a guy like I'm spaced on his name again.
Gilbert. Keyshawn Gilbert, yeah.
Yeah, when you have a guy like that looks very ball dominant and you have a guy already that's established on your team, you want a guy like Curtis, right? You want a guy that's a flamethrower that's shooting the crap out of the ball all over the place. He'll make smart decisions in the paint. It looked like Gilbert from his highlights. I haven't watched a lot of his film, but it seems like Gilbert's a lot more ball centric and wanting to get to the paint. I saw him shoot one left-handed layup. I think the scouting report's going to be out on him in the Big 12. Push the guy left.
Yeah.
But I think Curtis and even the Wofford transfer shoots the crap out of the ball too.
Yeah, Pavletsky is his name.
Pavletsky. Yeah, I just worry about. I mean, you're seeing here he's very ball pick and roll dominated. He's driving in the paint, not that big of a threat from the outside. Always going right. So,
he did shoot about I think he shot 36% from three, but I'm not sure on how many attempts it was.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day though, like the thing that I like about it is it feels like they definitely located a need and went and got three guys that they thought filled their need, you know? And I think that when you can get three guys who are pretty proven scorers at the mid-major level and have played at a high level, like at an Iowa State where you're not going to be playing the biggest NIL game, you know, with the Blue Bloods and things like that, it's hard to be too upset about it. You know, you get three guys that you feel can come in and make a contribution for you and fit into what you're trying to do.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. They got what they wanted. I just
and they're young. They're all three of them will be are sophomores or juniors. So
right, yeah. I just think Curtis and Pavlovsky are going to be probably the better outcome for Iowa State. Not saying Gilbert is not going to contribute, but when you have guys that you're looking for to score the ball, those two are kind of what you're looking towards to help your offense. And Gilbert probably is going to be the better defender of the two, so maybe that's what's going to get him on the floor. But it's really going to be where TJ wants this Iowa State team to be. Do you want to be a top 5 defense and a top 150 offense, or do you want to be a top 30 defense and a top 50 offense? There's going to be opportunity costs with either one.
They're going to have the pieces to be a lot better offensively. I mean, you bring in these three guys, then you got Omaha Ballou and Milan Momcilovic and Trey King. Like, they're going to be much more versatile, I think, 1 through 5 than what they have been these last 2 years. Guys where everybody out there will be a legitimate threat, which has not always been the case.
Right. Yeah, and I totally blanked on Omaha coming in too. He's probably going to be starting from day one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even more reason why I think they want to surround shooters around him and Lipsy. They have established front court already. It's really just finding those shooters to make that offense go, to create room for Lipsy, to create room for Omaha. And I think that Curtis kid looks like he's going to be a really, really great get for Iowa State.
He isn't like the most athletic guy. Like Gilbert, you see kind of his speed. He turns the corner when he's able to get that corner. Like he's strong with it. But Jones is crafty. He reminds me of when I first started watching him. He reminded me of watching Jaron Holmes when he was coming from St. Bonaventure, where the craftiness in the lane, like you're not the most athletic guy, but you're able to get to your spot and you're able to finish.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. I also think he plays a lot like Cassius Winston. From the little I watched him, I think he's very, very smart on where he wants to go with the ball. He doesn't force his spots, but if he gets to his spots, he's really, really killer.
For sure. Yeah. I think Iowa State, I don't know if they might be a borderline top 25 team going into next year. Like I could see them getting votes, I don't know if they'll be ranked though. But I thought a really good offseason for Otzelberger's and his staff. Should be interesting to see as we move along here this summer. All right, I've got a couple interesting stories here for you that I found. We have the new youngest American-born professional basketball player. Have you heard about this?
I haven't.
Dink Pate is his name. He's a 17-year-old point guard in the 2024 recruiting class, was the number 25 player in the class, and had 37 offers to go and play at the college level. Decides to sign with the G League Ignite, and will play 2 seasons for the G League Ignite, and then won't be eligible for the NBA draft until 2025. But he's 17 years old. He's going to finish high school as a professional.
Wow. Dink? Is he
I've got highlights of him too. I'll pull those up.
is he American?
He is, yeah, he is American. He's the youngest American born professional basketball player of all time, apparently.
6'8" shooting guard as a 17-year-old.
Whoa.
Oh. You don't see that every day.
Okay, here we go. I mean, it's one shot, but what was that defense? AAU is like the dumbest thing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, watching highlights of AAU basketball, it actually is.
It makes me want to throw up. Oh my goodness. I went to one of the EYBL events down in Kansas City last year, and I didn't play AAU, so like I'm still kind of new, I guess, to like the entire AAU way of life. But man, it is rough out here sometimes in some of these programs. You know, you have no idea what some of these guys are learning.
It's crazy too, because when I was going through AAU, like the circuits, like EYBL, Under Armour League, like you thought that was like the best basketball ever, and now you look back, you're like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
Right. It's funny to think that people get recruited off of that, you know?
Yeah.
Like how people can have one big day or something like that, and it's like you play some random team that, you know, for, you know, whatever reason they're beefing or something like that, and you just get to have a big day, you know?
Yeah.
And then some days, like, you'll show up and it's just like the coaches just won't play people. And you're like, what the hell? Like, I thought this was supposed to be opportunities for people to just get better. And we're like out here trying to win this like random event in Kansas City. You know, We're going to plant everybody's asses down on the bench. I'm not saying it needs to be like the Little League World Series where all 12 guys got to get in the game, but that feels like what it should be if it's being used for the right thing.
Yeah, and some of those AAU coaches too, Jared, are like so psycho. They take it like they're a high-level college coach making millions of dollars. Like, dude, you're coaching some 16-year-olds that one might have the most smallest chance ever to make it to the NBA.
You'll see a dude out there in a grubby, plain white T-shirt with a pair of cargo pants and like sandals on, and he's coaching like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Dude, the memories I had of playing AAU, it was one of the best times of my life, traveling on a charter bus, like with my AAU team across the country and playing these tournaments in the summer. But man, looking back on some of the memories I have of these games.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen in an AAU tournament?
Well, I have two. One was for my brother, Jason, my oldest brother. He's playing the New York Gauchos in Disneyland. It was one of my favorite tournaments to go to is AAU Nationals. And my brother Jason is still, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but he is the best high school basketball player I've ever seen in my life. And he probably had like 52 on these New York Gauchos team, and they're really good. Really, really good AAU team. They shake hands, and it was like a dogfight the entire game. Like you could tell like they had some beef after the game, after handshake lines. And I kid you not, there's an interaction between Jason and this player, and I guess he said he had a gun, and like teams like hit the door, and like security had to come on the floor and escort the team out and our families, and we had to get out of Disneyland, like it's called the Milk House area where there's a bunch of AAU basketball games. And it was insane. Like police showed up, like we were trying to get out, and New York Gauchos were like following us, and they're like families were going back and forth. Dude, it was like the most cringe thing ever now looking back on over an AAU basketball game.
That was at Disneyland?
Yeah, where they held AAU Nationals. I don't know if they still do it.
Disneyland or Disney World in Florida?
Oh, Disney. It's in Florida. Whatever.
Okay, yeah. So at Disney World, yeah.
Yeah, Disney World. Yeah, that one.
Man, it's supposed to be the happiest place on earth. What the
It
hell?
wasn't. It wasn't for the New York Gauchos. The second one, dude, we played Mac Irvin Fire, and people that don't know AU basketball, Mac
Out of
Irvin
Chicago,
Fire, yeah, notorious for basketball. Like their team is normally Nike EYBL team. Like they're always on the circuit.
They're the people who lead the program are very how do we put this, involved. Often.
They have a lot of gang ties in
Yes,
Mac Irvin Fire.
yes. Folks who remember Taylor Horton Tucker
Yeah.
coming to Iowa State will remember Mac Irvin Fire and the controversy with him.
Yeah. We were an EYBL qualifier in Minneapolis, and we were playing Mac Irvin Fire. Winner went to the Peach Jam to qualify for the EYBL status for next year. So it was a very intense game. They had like Charlie Moore, Norvell, if I remember his last name correctly. They had like two other guys that are playing professionally now. Really, really unbelievable team. Charlie Moore was people now that we've understood that they have gang ties. Charlie Moore was like their prodigy. Like he was a protected individual,
And he played at every school they had in their network, basically. Yeah.
And his handlers has connections to all these blue bloods that will get him wherever he wants. He had the incident with Iowa where he asked for this money to go to Iowa. That didn't work out. So all that happened, but we played Mac Irvin Fire. They got up like 35. I'm not even exaggerating. They were up 35 points in the first half. And a typical AU game, we came back. We brought it within 6. Cordell Pencil, being Cordell Pencil, the game was into it. The family, Mac Irvin Fire, I don't know if they were family member, parents, or handlers, gang members that were involved with people. I don't know. There was definitely some ties there. And Charlie Moore goes up for a layup middle of the paint. It's like end of the second half. We just made a huge comeback. Cordell Pencil goes straight up, and then it goes straight down on Charlie Moore. Charlie Moore hits the floor as hard as that point guard's ever.
I was just saying, Charlie Moore's not a big guy, so
Charlie Moore's not a big guy. Cordell Pencil is a huge guy.
Yeah.
He smacks the floor. Families run on the court. The head coach of Mac Irvin Fire ran over to Cordell, grabbed the basketball from him, started cussing him out, pouring him in the face. 5 minutes went by of screaming and shouting and people being broke up from fighting. Security came on the floor. Police were called. Refs called the game, forfeited the game. I don't know how we get the loss for it because they had their whole city of Chicago on the court at this point. And we had to be escorted off the floor. Our families had to be protected by police. Like we're walking out of this is an AU basketball game, Jared. And I'm like, this is the second time something like this has happened in my life over an AU basketball game.
Man, all I heard is Cordell Pencil started a scuffle. And in the back of my mind, I thought, so you're telling me that the scuffle in Iowa City might not have been a Steve Prohm problem?
Oh, it was a Steve Prohm problem. This was a Charlie Moore problem.
Oh, no, this sounds like Cordell Pencil. It sounds like it's much more in character for him to get in a scuffle than a Steve Prohm was.
To defense to Cordell, anyone that's played Mac Irvin Fire knows they are very dirty. How they play is very, very dirty. So I left out a lot of parts of little scuffles
of the scuffle, yeah.
But man, it was. I actually have a video of it. One of my good friends, Billy Brown, he lives in the Western Iowa area. I still connect with him today. He sent a video like 24 hours later, and it was his dad filming it. I was like, way to go, Cordell. We lost our EYBL status.
Absurd. Man. Well, imagine going from that at 17 to playing in the G League like Dink Pate is about to do.
Dude, props to the kid. That takes some balls to go straight to professional.
What's the challenge of being 17 years old playing against those guys? You obviously just played at that level this year.
Well, when you're that young.
Yeah, I mean, just the development. Yeah.
Development, first off. 2, what you think you know about the game of basketball, you don't. No matter what your family has said. And, I mean, I think that's the main thing. You're 17 years old. You don't even have your own life figured out. Hey. So That's why I think it's smart the NBA has what they have.
Mm-hmm. To have the G League Ignite program just to be able to, bring kids into the situation, ease them in, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think it will be interesting to see how many more people do this, I mean, if they're going to start identifying people at 17 years old and signing them to deals, then I imagine that there will be more and more who do go that route at the end of the day, because they're going to start catching people earlier.
Yeah, and you look at a guy like Scoot Henderson, who was he played in G League Ignite this year, and he's going to be a number 2 pick.
I think it'd be cool if these guys could go, if they could go when they're 50, if he could go when he's 17, and if he goes for a year and it doesn't work out, and then he could still go play in college.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
That kind of ties in everything we were just talking about at the beginning. I think once employee status hits, I think stuff like that will be on the table.
Yeah. It's just I guess it just got to continue to work its way there. All right, I got a couple of random news stories here for you. This one comes from the state of Texas. The headline: police came to pull a Jeep out of a lake. They found a woman inside alive. It started with a call from a fisherman who said he saw what looked, this is from NPR, who said he saw what looked to be a black Jeep virtually submerged in a large lake in Marion County, Texas. Not until later, after a tow truck came, did anyone realize that someone was inside the vehicle and that they were still alive. This happened at 8:15 in the morning, and the person in the car had been reported missing at 12:30 the previous night, and lived. They don't know exactly the details. They don't know how the car got into the lake. They know that she was in there for an undisclosed amount of time and was able to survive being stuck inside of a lake after crashing her car into it. How incredible is that?
This is in Texas?
Yeah.
Man, people in Texas are different. They're
Yeah.
just different. That's what it comes down to.
Built different. You can survive inside of your car for X number of hours.
How's that possible?
She had to have been passed out or something, right?
Yeah, she was having an early celebration of 420 and took a couple edibles.
Ends up in the lake. What can you do? Hey, at least they saved her. Yeah.
420, what a holiday.
No kidding.
What happened on your 420? Oh, I drowned myself in my Jeep in the lake.
Oh, man. All right, this one comes from Philadelphia. The headline, this is from the AP: Philadelphia truck break-in ends in parking lot dime heist. Thieves may have not been counting on finding a mountain of change when they broke into a truck filled with $750,000 in dimes, but they still made off with a chunk of the cargo and left coins scattered around a Philadelphia parking lot, authorities say. Authorities say the thieves apparently fled with at least $100,000 of dimes. It is not yet known how they carted off the mountain of dimes, but they, show this whole thing. So I did the math. Obviously, $100,000 worth of dimes is 1 million dimes. That's exactly $100,000. Each dime weighs about 2.2 grams. So that would mean that 1 million dimes is roughly 5,000 pounds of dimes, which I don't know how you're able to carry that off without anybody noticing.
How do you transport that?
This is like some Batman shit, dude. Like something that a Batman villain would do.
And I mean, can we talk about 1 million dimes is absurd. How do you even cash it? Where you go increment?
You just take it to the coin store.
Oh, here, hey, I have 1 million dimes I've been collecting my whole life.
I've got this jar right here. You just fill this up. How many dimes do you think this can hold?
Dimes? I would probably say
a lot.
5,000.
5,000 dimes. All right, well, only 995,000 to go.
For the jars, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's all. If you get 5,000 dimes into one jar, then that's only 995,000 dimes left to go. You only have to make however many more trips, to the Coinstar.
That's a lot of trips, though. You're gonna need like a whole city.
Oh yeah, and I imagine that there's probably a limit on the amount that you can do in the Coinstar. Like I can't imagine you can get $500 worth of dimes.
No, I can't imagine you can take it to a bank and they accept more past 100 dimes. Like, what the fuck are they gonna do with dimes? Who's
Especially ones
cashing?
that are unrolled, you know. Like
No one's going to a bank anymore to get change.
no.
Like, hey, can I have 100,000 dimes? You got any dimes over there? Unreal.
You got to get rid of them somehow. I don't know. I guess they can just chip away at it. $100,000 though worth of dimes. It's pretty incredible.
I feel like aren't we at like a point in society too where change is just becoming non-existent?
Yeah, I mean we're getting closer. I still use cash. I carry cash, but
Do you?
yeah.
I rarely ever have cash.
Yeah, I think it's just everybody has their own, you know. I don't know. I like carrying cash.
I'm curious to see what our audience who listens to us what they do because
What idea do you have to get rid of your million dimes and convert it into other currency?
I was just gonna say who carries cash anymore, but that one too.
That too. I wonder if you could deposit it. You show up at the bank, you've got like that probably raises a red flag, you know.
Can you even go to the ATM, like a remote ATM and cash change somewhere?
No. That's what I'm saying. You'd have to take it to a change counter that would then cash it out and then you would have the money and get rid of the dimes. I wonder if they have like markings on the dimes or anything that they would ever be able to catch who did it. Cuz if there's nothing out there that signifies like what the dime is or like where the dime came from, this might be a genius heist, frankly.
Yeah,
How is this traceable?
because no one wants a dime.
Right, no one wants those dimes anyway.
Yeah, poor dimes. This reminds me of my brother when I saved up all this money in my piggy bank when I was like 7 years old, and I came home and he took my piggy bank and cashed it in and flaunted the money in my face.
Did he break it or did he just
No, he took my piggy bank. He said I owed him money. I'm 7 years old, Jared. I lived a tough childhood.
You did. You did. All right, you've got one story for us. Folks are angry about the plus size airline passengers. We need rights for the plus size airline passengers. Tell us more.
There's this Instagram influencer, J Bay Productions. I'm not going to share the screen, but I'll read it off here. Try holding the last, Jared, before I'm done. She goes, let's just keep it real. People can't stand to see fat people happy. My posts over the last few months have been flooded with hate comments. Comments telling me that I better buy 2 seats if I fly. Comments telling me that if I buy 2 seats, it's selfish. Comments telling me that plus-size people should just stay home. No matter what we do, someone is mad. Someone might as well do exactly what we want to do. We only get this one life to live, and I'll be damned if I spend it sad and hate my life or body. Nobody should have to live like that. I will never encourage someone to spend life hidden away to appease someone on the internet who takes away out of their day to spread hate. And she goes on and on about plus size hate and pretty much.
Yeah, I agree with the general sentiment that she's at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but and then it goes on about a petition wanting plus size people to get 2 seats on a plane for free.
I want the free legroom. I want the legroom on a plane for free because I didn't choose to be 6'7".
And that's my argument. I'm like, okay, what about the people that are 6'9"? Do they get their plus size people? All plus size people should get.
I'm with her. I'm on the movement.
You are on the movement?
I'm on the movement. I want my own seat. I want 2 seats every time.
Okay.
Or I want the seat, you know, the exit row seat that they have where they don't have a seat in front of it. I want that seat every time.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm sharing something here. This is who you're on a movement with.
Oh boy. I can go. I got you.
We're not talking about someone that's just slightly like this isn't healthy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be rude, but people that know me, I'm straightforward. How are we going to argue that you personally should get an extra seat? Because she deserves it? That's what she's basically saying.
I mean, everybody deserves to be accepted. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That kind of goes against general business practices.
Are we really at a point in society, Jared,
where we have to guilt the airlines into giving people 2 seats?
Where we're guilting a business for not giving you something for free when you're overweight? That's where we are now. Hey,
Yeah,
I got an idea.
Tough scene.
Jared, hey, pick me. I have an idea.
I don't want to pick you. I know what your idea is. You're gonna say something mean. I know you're gonna say something mean.
All right, I'm gonna go anyway. You didn't call my hand. Maybe just work out and lose some weight so you don't have to ask for an extra seat.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say something mean.
And yeah, maybe it's mean, but hey, I'm straightforward and I say the truth.
Yes,
I will say this. There's some people that struggle because there's pre-existing conditions. I agree with that. But a lot of people, Jared.
Or you could just buy first class. Like, I don't know, those seats are bigger, you know.
Or just continue buying 2 seats and don't say anything about it.
I think a lot of times, a lot of our the things that like people get mad at each other about could be solved if we all just made a decision that we're not gonna bring up or put out there publicly everything that pisses us off. You know?
Yeah. We're getting baited into bringing it up.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing here.
See, now we're gonna get somebody out there who's gonna be like, "Oh, you guys are jackasses because you brought this up." You know.
I don't have a problem with people calling me a jackass for being rude, for calling out something. I'm calling a spade right now, Jared.
You're calling out what you consider to be an injustice. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't deserve something because you personally made life choices to impact your life in a negative manner.
I agree with you there.
She could have got a Cliff Bar. She got a Snickers bar. That's step one.
She probably has millions of followers, and they're gonna find this, and we're just gonna get roasted.
We're gonna get non-fat shamed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's all right. I'll handle the trolls, Jared.
All criticism is directed at what's your Twitter, jbo_3.
I'll get my Snickers bar and start waving it.
Oh my god!
Like a sword. We'll have a Snickers off.
Thank you everyone for listening to the podcast this week. It was really great. We started off so strong and then we ended here. All right. I'll talk to you next week, man.
Yeah.